Okay, welcome to the Q&A session 4 of the Inventors Garage Demo Day with myself, Evan Curry, Group Editor at Bizcommunity.com. Joining me today is Nikisa Wera of AfriLabs. Hi Nikisa, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing, Evan?
I'm very well, thanks for joining us. And I'm excited to hear from all of these startups over here. And I just want to say well done to all of the startups on your demo presentations. They were actually absolutely amazing. So I don't want to waste too much time. Let's get started with the Q&A session. So first up, let's see if we can have a chat to Antonio of Medicud. Antonio, are you there? Antonio, can you turn your microphone on?
Yes.
There we go. Yeah. Welcome.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. Can you hear us?
Perfect.
Perfect. All right. So Nikisa, do you have any questions for Antonio?
Yeah, a couple. Well, first of all, thank you so much for a pretty concise presentation. It was clear to the point, no questions as far as what it is you're trying to do. But I just two questions. One is you didn't quite talk through how it's being tested, where it's being tested. There weren't any testimonials. So how is that going now?
Now we are testing it in laboratory. So we are assessing the performances of the device. And we are assessing that we have exactly the same performances of the device that are already on the market.
Okay.
But no patient testing yet has been done.
Okay. And what about potential clients? Are you looking at individuals specifically? So is this something that people just use in their homes, or is it hospitals, or is it both? And then the second part of that question is, what's the pricing?
Okay, let's start with
I think we're having a glitch.
Yep.
Antonio, can you hear us?
Give him a few seconds and then move on.
All right, I think we're gonna have to back to Antonio. Hopefully he joins us again. All right, is Ernest over there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Nikisa, do you have any questions or any remarks for Ernest of Ruby Wheelchair?
Yeah, just a quick comment on the presentation. I mean, it was creative. I saw where you're going, where it was just, the product will speak for itself. But I would have loved to hear your voice as well, and just, making the case for for your product versus what exists in the market already. My two questions. One is that it felt quite labor intensive. And so I'm curious if there's any plans for further automation.
Oh, thank you so much, Nikki. Like in terms of like when you're saying it's heavy, like it seems like the weight of the device, or what are you?
And also just the energy required to just pull it up. So I wasn't sure, again, because there wasn't an explanation in the pitch. I wasn't sure if there's anything around the wheels that kind of makes that easier for the person on the seat. So is there any automation currently, or are you planning any automation moving forward?
I think it's a very great idea. Remember the wheelchair that we saw on the video? It's like it was our prototype. It was actually like our first prototype. So like we used the aluminum, but after doing the market validation, we found out that it's too heavy. Then there are some materials which is more lighter that we are currently producing that the same Ruby wheelchair with. We're no longer using the heavy because we did see that it's quite heavy. It needs a strength, but there are some materials that we are using. It's much lighter than the one that is currently on the market.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so there is one in the market already. And what's the cost for that?
Because we started selling it in Europe, France. In France, it was 2,500 euros. Then in South Africa, it was 45,000 rand.
Okay.
Yes.
And how does this compare to the other version wheelchairs that are in the market already?
In terms of the value proposition of the wheelchair?
The cost, yeah.
In South Africa, like the normal wheelchair, which is the standard wheelchair, it costs like 21,000 rand to 30,000 rand, just a normal wheelchair. But then this other one, the wheelchair, the Ruby wheelchair, which is 45,000 rand. But because it's not like a wheelchair for everyone, it's a specific targeted for specific customers. Like you're building your tourism center. It's not like it's not a wheelchair that you can use on a daily basis. Yes. It's for buildings that can be equipped. It doesn't have like your elevator, escalators, your tourism, whereby like they don't have those the lift, your escalators. It's not it's not something that you can use it on a daily basis.
Okay, so this assumes that you have another version wheelchair for normal use.
Yes.
This wouldn't be your primary wheelchair.
Yes, okay. we currently have.
Okay.
Yes.
Even that done.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask you, Ernest, was, I mean, it's an amazing idea, all right? But what if you're a single person and you have no help around you? Have you thought of that?
Currently, like we did develop the power one, whereby it doesn't need like but the reason about that one, it was too expensive for African market. It was fine for European market, because I'm currently working with the company in France that is helping me out, because I design and come up with an IP and everything. Then they help me up with manufacturing. But there's one thing that we have realized, it's like our power, it was very expensive when it coming to and for African market. So like we wanted to introduce that one, then which is affordable, and it's solving something that is existing in the market. So like there is another one, but we are not focusing too much on it because it's expensive.
Okay. Thanks, Ernest. Thank you very much for that. Thanks, Nekisa. All right, I want to call back Antonio because I think we had a bit of a issue over there. So if we can just get Antonio back and we can finish up with him.
Yeah, sorry, you have to put my video back on again.
Do we need a video for, actually, Nekisa, do you want
to?
Okay, there we go.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, sorry, Zoom crashed.
All right, Nekisa, the new normal.
Yeah, so my last question is just who the potential client is. Is it the individuals, the hospitals, or both, and what your price point is?
Yeah, okay. The client, the target client is the hospital, because nowadays those medications need a trained doctor or a trained nurse to be performed, because it's really painful. So you don't do an auto medication alone. So our target clients are the hospitals, the clinic, or whichever health institution. And the price, the targeted price, we want to sell the device and 2 wound dressings. So all the necessary for 1 week of treatment is around $30. And the closest competitor, the cheapest competitor, is selling those devices in US at $90 per week.
Interesting.
And we are doing exactly the same thing, the same performances.
So how do you think you've been able to cut costs? Are you getting your materials cheaper? What's happening?
The device is much simpler. The device is made of 7 pieces, while our competitor is made of 120 pieces.
Okay.
and more than that, we have in mind the global South countries as our main market, and they had in mind the US as main market. So it's different pricing strategy.
Yeah, well, I'm really curious how you make that happen a lot simpler. It's probably not a conversation for now, and perhaps it's like a trade secret that you wouldn't want to share anyway. But I'm very curious about that. But when do you think you're going to market?
If everything goes as planned, we want to start clinical trials by summer next year and be ready to enter market in 2023. So with all the certification and everything, first piece shipped in 2023.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck. And yeah, I mean, it's something exciting and different, and it's going to help a lot of people, I think. So
yeah, hopefully the idea is to enlarge the population that can use this treatment.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Antonio.
Thank you.
Right. So let's go on to Piwe from Loomee Group. Hi, Piwe.
Hi, Ivan.
How are you?
Hello. Well, how are you?
Very good. Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. All right. So here's Nikisa, who perhaps has some questions for you.
Yeah, okay. I do. But first, a comment. So before I joined RP Labs, I was running a hub in Nairobi called the iHub. And I mean, it's a huge ecosystem, whether South Africa, whether Nairobi, and many times when people launch their products, they don't always acknowledge the community that surrounded them as they were developing that. So I really loved hearing that in your pitch. So thank you on behalf of the community that supported you. Thank you for saying that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, my question. The model for me wasn't quite clear. How do you, where do you get the workers from? Who are you looking for in terms of the workers that are able to do this remote work? Is there any qualifications and so on? And then how do you match them to jobs?
All right. Thank you for that. So just to clarify on that, we are a smart training center in East London. So our mandate is to help unemployed youth get online jobs specifically. Mm-hmm. So this is where we now the change starts at where we train them on new job titles. So for example, a social media manager, and then we train them, and then we try and expose them to businesses and companies that are selling or are offering those jobs. So we have two categories for that. We are approaching your former companies like your Mercedes-Benz, Nestle, which is a local companies. And we also approaching task providers. So what that means is it's not necessarily a company, but it could be an individual as well who says, I have work for you and I need you to do social media management work for me. So it's split in that. So currently our approach is that we are approaching local businesses. We've partnered with about, I think, 7 local businesses in East London. And our target market really is the universities, the colleges, training providers, high schools, because that's where it starts, as early as grade 10, we're trying to convince them to say, against your traditional careers, there is online jobs that you can undertake. So currently, we just ran a project from the MICT CETA of about 25 learners. We ran a remote software engineering program, which was for 3 months. It was a very successful one. We now confirmed that 22 of them are actually making money online, which is taking on software development jobs. It's not locally only, but globally as well. So they are getting small software development jobs from global companies on a small scale, which is a week or a month or 3 months, yes.
Okay. And how are you determining how did you determine what to train for? Was it market research and you say basically these are the kinds of jobs that people want to have for remotely, or do you just have a critical mass of people that you've trained in different things and they're bound to learn into jobs?
All right, so we did market research. We started in 2016. I looked at various industries. To my shock, I found out there's 32 industries, information jobs, that is, because all online jobs are information jobs. So we found that in all areas, I mean, if you talk about writing, for example, there's loads of opportunities there. If you talk about teaching English online, there's jobs there. If you talk about website testing, there's jobs there. So how we're doing it now is that I'm in negotiations now with universities. We've just launched a manual, a training manual, a remote work training manual. So we want now to plug in the manual onto the traditional curriculum, where we say, if you're in the accounting field, what online jobs or what online opportunities can you explore on the accounting side of things? So it is basically in almost all industries. And when we have the demand, we then conduct, online classes, or we conduct physical classes for the groups that are not as tech savvy. We have got a platform as well where we sell online courses on there. So for the guys that want to buy a course and then learn on their own, yeah.
All right.
Do I have time for one more question?
Yes, I think go ahead.
Okay. So Pio, you already kind of alluded to this. You said you're selling some courses, but is that the primary revenue earner, or how else is this making money for you?
All right. In fact, our primary revenue now is actually the physical classes and the programs that we're running with certain organizations. The Department of Labor as well is interested in partnering with us. So I think it's a third revenue stream now, because the first one is the programs, the second one is the manual, and the third now being online. The online space has been very slow so far. So we're being radical on the marketing side of things on social media.
Thank you, Pio. Thanks for those answers. That was some great insight there. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'd like to go on to Ikram, automatic hairstyling clippers.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you, Evans?
Very well, thanks. Thanks for joining us. All right. So, Nikesa, do you have any questions that you'd like to pose to Ikram?
Yes. First of all, when I saw your presentation, I thought to myself, the old school, barbers and so on, they kind of take pride in being able to do that perfect fade, like manually. And so I thought, how many of, what kind of culture shift are we talking about when I now think about we're going to automate this process, and where would the market be for that? But I don't think it's a great innovation. What strikes me is that you clearly understand the prototyping space and the manufacture space and so on. So I found that really great to look at. My question is the cost per piece. What are you looking at?
So the cost per piece for the prototype, it was about 1.2 if I want to make any profit. But obviously for the commercial design, the cost would be cut a lot lower, because for the commercial design, for the prototype, my main focus was just to get a prototype that can demonstrate the working principle. So I think that's why the cost went up to like 1.2, but it can go down to about 800.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does it get updated? I mean, if I understood it well, there has to be some firmware in there. Are you going to need to get new clippers every time you're updating software, or how is that going to work?
No, the software update, I think, would only be done if a new feature is added. But I don't think there's going to be a lot of software update. Once it's programmed once, it can work its entire lifetime.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so back to my original comment, how are you intending to introduce this to the market? Who are you going to, and how are you going to convince the traditional barbers?
I know the barbers take pride in getting the perfect shades and all of that, but I think we can all agree that sometimes they don't get those perfect shades. Sometimes they try, and if you're trying to make a shade, you miss one spot, you can't really correct that. So if they get this machine with just one soup, you get a perfect shade, and I think that's where the market would be. I know they take pride, but it would still take some kind of work to actually get that shade to be perfect and understanding how to actually use the device. So even for barbers that actually take pride in that, they can buy this machine and they can actually increase their profits and cut down on the time that they take to actually make perfect shades. Because I've been a barber myself, I know how much time it actually takes to get a perfect shade. And so many times you mess it up, and once you mess it up, it just becomes ruined. So I think there is market there. And even for individuals, for people that don't like going to barbers, they like cutting their own hair. It'll be so much simpler for them and a lot cheaper for them.
Yeah. How soon do you think you're going to market?
Looking at this, I think I still have to design a commercial design that is much more cost effective and that is much smoother in terms of functionality. So I think I'm looking at about 1.5 years to about 2 years.
Okay, great. I'm good, even.
Good, thanks, Akram.
Thanks a lot,
I
Evan.
think you can see I've cut my hair quite often, so
exactly. And you
I'm not
probably,
sure I would want to have one of those in my hand.
Yeah, it'll be really cool.
I'd rather blame somebody else.
Exactly.
All right, so thank you. I think let's go on to Lovens. Are you there? Hi, Lovens.
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, so I think let's get started with you. Let's see, Nakisa, do you have any questions for Lovens?
Yes. My first question is one of the statements that you made in your presentation was that your product is less expensive because it's made in Africa, which struck me as odd because within the manufacturing space, usually the challenge is that the price of commodities or parts locally makes what we make here a lot more expensive than importing it. So what are you doing different?
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. I've been involved in the distribution of clean cooking solutions for since 2013, and we worked on a project where we actually imported the Philips stove into Ghana, about 500 of them to sell. Now the stoves cost $75. Most of the fan-powered stoves that can use agricultural waste or pellets for cooking cost a minimum of $65 to $75 FOB, and by the time it reaches, you import and it reaches Ghana, it is about over $110. And that is even for the importer price. So by the time it gets to the retailer, it's quite expensive. So for Philips stoves, Mimimoto stoves, African clean energy stoves, or not to talk even about BioLite stoves. So the fact that we have been able to engineer a stove that we use local materials to produce, and at the same time, it's able to not only consume electricity, but rather provide both heat and electricity to rural off-grid households. We are able to bring it down to the price. I think my model is around $40, $35 to $40 to the end user. And then we use innovative business models where they can do use and pay. They use and they pay in installment, and others also we also have the other shops that pay on. So because we have cut off the importation rate costs, and then be able to bring it lower FOB in Africa for most of the households. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Last question. around the fuel or the pellets, how are you guaranteeing the constant supply, and how are you distributing them to the people that, to your customers?
Okay, so we have situated our pellets production sites in communities where we have good access to timber markets and stuff, where we have access to the sawdust for free. So we have a lot of sawdust that we actually use for the pellet manufacturing, and then we have packaged it in various quantities that meet the needs of the rural end user. So, for example, in the rural end user would take $1 or less than $1 to go to buy charcoal. So what we're trying to do is to replace charcoal and with renewable fuels, and therefore we package them into 50 cents, $1, $2, small packages that you could use in the stove, and then we distribute it. So in the rural areas where there are women who are into food processing, we see it as a social enterprise initiative. So we give them the stove, and they can use their agro waste for cooking. And they use a save-to-own business model. So there is a savings mobilization scheme that the women use to pay for us. But in the peri-urban and urban areas, we have a distribution model where some of the women, for the charcoal sellers, we are trying to give them the small pieces where those who are using our stoves can procure the pellets and packaged fuel for free. But there are others, middle income earners, who they request for us to, so we deliver the fuels for them through a fuel subscription model, so that maybe they ask for a 15 kilo or a 20 kilo or we make it 10 kilo, 15 kilo bags. We give it to them. They use for a week or two, and then they pay. And that's every time they need some, they pay. They call us and we distribute. We have also actually created sales outlets. So we are trying to develop it as probably energy service center, so that in each community that we have set up our distribution model, we have identified a potential sales outlets where we work with them to give them the stoves and the pellets. So after we've done the distribution, or we've done our awareness creation and campaign, and then people take the stoves, anytime you need the stove or a fuel and then you don't have to come to our major center, you can depend on the local sales outlets to supply you.
Lovan, thank you for that. Sorry, we're going to run out of time and we've got one more startup. So I'm sorry to cut you short there, Lovan, but thank you so very much for that. I think that was quite interesting. All right, so we've still got Polygon Energy. Are you out there? The Polygon microcharger. Lungelo. Lungelo, are you there?
I hope he is. I was very curious about this one.
Yeah, I see this. Okay. All right. So, Nikisa, do you think that there are any other questions that we have for any of the that you've maybe thought about while going through the others?
No. Well, actually, yeah. For Loven's, so on the deck, I noticed that yes, it's based in Ghana, but you mentioned in passing market in Nigeria as well. So I was actually quite curious what that expansion looks like. I mean, Nigeria is a whole other market, and what the plans are to penetrate that, and if you felt that was going to affect costs.
Okay, so I just shared a link on the WhatsApp page, on our chat page. We we have been involved in the distribution of cook stoves for a while. So we also created an online marketplace where people can order for stoves and then get it delivered to their doorstep. So through this platform, we got an order from Nigeria to supply 7 stoves, and then we actually exported it to her in Nigeria to use. So we have gotten some orders like that for our production unit, and then we are also currently we're still scaling up the production. We have actually secured a CNC plasma cutter, and then some vendors, some machinery that we got from the Ghana Climate Innovation Center support that we are using now for our to scale up.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Lovins. Thanks for that. I think it's time to wrap up. I'd just like to thank all of you for joining us and for your demonstrations and giving us some insight. And I just want to thank you, Nakisa, for answering for asking some great questions. And I think I just want to say good luck to all of you. And I think that's it for this session. Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
And see you
Thank
in the closing
you.
ceremony.
All right. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
One question.
Thanks.